Hey, and welcome back to the Soul Podcasting Podcast, where soulful creators, thought leaders, and purpose-driven entrepreneurs come to amplify their voice and podcast with impact. I'm Demetria Zinga, podcast coach and strategist, and founder of the Soul Podcasting Collective. And this is one of my short and punchy episodes. For now, I'm publishing them on Thursdays, but that could change anytime. This is your weekly dose of encouragement and strategy for just showing up consistently and confidently. So be sure to catch our interviews, which so far I've been publishing on Sundays, and my longer solo episodes, which are midweek if you want a deeper dive. All right, so today we're talking about something that most podcasters experience but don't always feel free to admit, and that's that they need to take a break. And maybe you're burned out or juggling life or just craving white space. Whatever the reason you need to take a break, here's the truth: you are allowed to take a pause. And the key, though, is doing it soulfully and strategically so you don't lose momentum with your audience or connection with your audience. So let's talk about how to take a break without ghosting your community or your own creative flow. My first tip for you here is that you can pause with purpose and not guilt. First of all, a break doesn't mean that you're failing, okay? It means you're honoring your capacity and giving your creativity space to breathe. So instead of disappearing completely, just cutting everyone off and leaving, you might want to communicate that you're taking a little break, and that's okay. You can say to your audience, hey, I'm taking a short break. I need to refuel and realign, but I'll be back soon with even more impactful content or something like that. Just even placing a little audio message that's not a full episode, but just something to make that announcement to your audience could be super helpful to keep those listeners hanging around, keeping them subscribed so they don't think, oh, you've pod faded, so let me just unsub from this podcast. It's no longer active. You want to make sure that even in the title of the episode that you're letting them know, hey, this is just a break, but I'll be back, right? Transparency, I believe, builds trust. So when you show up authentically, even during your times of rest, your audience completely respects that, and they'll understand. They'll completely understand. They don't expect you to run on empty. You have to get refueled. Podcasters need space as well. Just like in any other aspect of your life, sometimes you need a podcasting break. Take one. My tip number 2 for you is to pre-schedule, and you can do light content or you can offer replays. So if you know you have a break coming up, you can schedule that in advance. You can do short solo episodes, sort of like maybe your best of, right? My best of this topic or best of whatever. And you can offer replays or guest returns. I've done that quite often just to kind of save myself a little space in my scheduling roster, just so I don't have to stay on green light all the time. You can even do a 2-minute check-in episode with just a warm message that goes a long way, right? I've done this myself. I've preloaded content for a couple of weeks at a time while I knew I was going to have to go away for a bit. There was one season of my life where I was starting a new job that I knew would take up at least 90% of my time, and I wouldn't have time to podcast the same as I did before. So during that time, I scheduled the content for my show, and this particular show, I dropped back my scheduling to once a month because I knew I wasn't going to be able to handle more than that. And I preloaded a few before I left for that job. So it was easier for me. Of course, making sure not to date those shows or say anything that's related to the day and time of the recording, just so that it can fit whatever that season is that you end up publishing it. So, if I recorded it in, let's say, August, it might not be published until October. So I wasn't going to talk about anything that would date me for that month, just in case, I got around to making an episode or two that was more relevant to the season that we're in. So just at any rate, just making sure that your content is evergreen and something that you can publish no matter the day or time of the year. And what I loved is that I didn't lose listeners. By the way, even though I was posting less often, I actually ended up gaining more subscribers in that process, even during the down times where I couldn't show up physically, because I thought in advance and was able to preload a few episodes. So it really helps to communicate with your audience or to have something scheduled on the front end. And this way you can just rest, and then you can stay visible at the same time. Now, quick reminder, if your podcast needs a reset or a refresh, I do offer podcast audits. This is something that I do to help you realign your content and keep things flowing for you the way you've been wanting to, but just didn't know you could, because maybe that extra set of eyes on your content is going to help you figure out ways that you can do things differently on your show. So I offer audit services to help you do just that. I also offer editing service at soulpodcasting.com. Let's go ahead and build that soulful plan just for you and your show that supports your growth and your peace. I'm happy to help you and be part of your podcasting journey. So back to what we were saying earlier, as far as leaving your podcasting for a bit, going on hiatus, a scheduled, planned out hiatus. When you return, let your audience know what's going to happen next. Share what you learned during your pause or what's shifting in your content, what's changing. It doesn't have to be a dramatic rebrand, but just be intentional and reconnect with them. And think of your break as a reset button, not a stop sign. Even 1 or 2 weeks off can give you fresh energy and clarity when you re-engage. So my friend, you don't have to hustle nonstop to be successful. You can take breaks. I give you complete permission to take a break if you need it. Go take some time off or scale back. Don't post 3 times a week if it's getting too much. Right now I'm doing 3 times a week. I know that by the time holidays get here, I may be scaling back to once a week, if even that. Right? So this is my season of my life right now where I'm pushing to get content out quickly, but I already have plans for breaks in this schedule because I know I will need it. And so somewhere around November, things are definitely going to look different on this show, and I'm going to relax and just sit back and let things roll the way they roll. And I'm encouraging you to look at podcasting as not a sprint, but a marathon. It is long term. And so you're going to have different seasons of your life where you feel differently on the microphone, and you're going to have different things to share. Your wisdom will have increased or changed. Your points of view is going to be different. And so you're going to feel different about life as well, because life tends to do that to us, right? It changes our views. It matures us. It completely resets your mind, especially when you go through a crisis or you go through some hardship. When you come back to the microphone, you are literally a different person. And that's why sometimes we need breaks so that we can regroup, figure out what we think, figure out what we feel before we're ready to come back and talk. If you're in that season right now, give yourself permission to breathe, to plan, and to return with purpose. And if you want to partner in building a sustainable podcast rhythm, you know where to find me. Head over to soulpodcasting.com. I'm there for you, and you can explore ways that our agency can work together with you and help you. We want to help you keep creating and honoring your voice. That's what we're here for. So as always, I want to encourage you to keep podcasting with purpose, with passion, and with soul. Happy podcasting.